What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday the 13th. I hope you're all having a good one out there. For some reason, I don't know if it's because it's Friday the 13th or maybe just because the NBA always does it to us. We have so many things that we're waiting on. It's really hard to analyze this slate. So I'm just going to go through with what I've got currently. And let me just run the Sims again. And we'll go from there, I guess. I'm going to assume like Mobley's questionable. At least we have that as one of the first games. So we'll know that news. My guess is he doesn't play for what it's worth. You can see that the Garland projection has gone up in general. Did it actually run that sim? Let me just double check here because that seems too high. Yeah, okay, now it's a little more reasonable. But we'll obviously be incorporating other guys if Mobley is out, and it's not only going to be whoever starts; it's going to make everybody else look better, including guys like who I already liked a little bit, like Karis LeVert. Niang would come into play. Dean Wade possibly. Really curious who they end up starting, and also you have the potential blowout no matter what because Washington's only won 3 games this season, and it's kind of a wild slate. So I'm just going to go through the early games first, just because I think it's the best way to approach the slate. We're going to have to wait till later to probably find out the rest because we've got Jamal Murray questionable. Now Jokic is already a strong play, but then Westbrook comes into play as well. There's a lot of things out there that we're still waiting on. So I'm going to try to be under in terms of the value from the early games. Mobley is confirmed out, Brendan says. That must have just happened because I swear I checked it not a moment before I got it. I don't even have that yet. Brendan is always on top of it, man. Good job. Always on top of it. Anyway, I'll keep going with DraftKings. So with Mobley out, let's wait till the projections reset, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I am in favor of trying to get a little bit less from the earlier games if possible. I actually do want to force in, though, a little bit of Bagley. I'm just going to put a little number on him there. The Joe Val thing is interesting. He's probably one of the first guys out who, when these other guys come in, but at the same time, like if the game is even reasonably close, he probably gets enough run to get there. The other one who I had to lower his projection manually was Jared Butler. And I don't like this Anthony Gill projection as well. You can see over here, Sheets and them have closer to 10 and 11. I'm going to make it 12 and see what happens. And my guess is that we're not going to get any of them, which would be nice. And let me rebuild actually after that. But so, okay, the guys from the first game that you're considering, Joe Val, Butler, Bagley, Carrington. I just don't feel like I need to do any of this stuff. The ones I have the most interest in, I do have a reasonable amount of exposure to Joe Val at the moment, but I am not going to I'm still like, there's a path tonight where if we hear news in time that I don't end up with hardly any Joe Val because I don't want to overly commit myself to early value that I think it definitely has a bust path. Although I do think in terms of the matchup, I think he's totally fine. I just think that we don't know how much he's going to play. Played 18 minutes last time they played this team. They're probably going to get rocked. And again, same thing with the other side. I actually might just put a 0 on everybody here. Again, I have barely any exposure as it is, but I think I'm really considering just putting just a flat 0. I don't need to do this. I don't need to play the early value when we've got potential situations opening up later on with the Bulls, with the Nuggets. It's kind of a weird slate like that. Just that's sort of where I'm at. I don't mind the Embiid at all at 9,500. I think it's actually very fair. I expect him to get over 50 tonight. I like the Embiid. I'm happy to pay up with the early games, but outside of Cleveland, again, trying not to use too much of the value early on in case we hear that other news with all these Q tags going on. If I get a little bit of Maxey or George, I'm not going to hate it. I'm certainly not going out of my way to try to get any of it. The Lakers game doesn't start for a little while, and we now have Reeves and Davis as likely going to play. I'd like to get a little more exposure here than what I've got currently. I think there's definitely an argument to play more Reeves, and to play more D'Angelo Russell in the revenge game. I might even bump this number up to 15 just to get a little bit more exposure there. And then you can see nothing else is making enough sense to go there, but I don't think that it's a game we should be avoiding with no LeBron. It's not like Reeves and he have the same usage, but Reeves did come back, so that kind of negated things. If Reeves was out again, I think we'd be stacking up the Lakers a lot tonight. I also worry about the Lakers in this matchup. I think this could get ugly if things they don't get off to a nice start. Love Naz Reid tonight. Again, things may change depending on what other value we get, but Naz Reid is the one I like the most from the Minnesota side. We've got DiVincenzo. I'll rerun the builds in a minute, and we'll check on Cleveland and all that stuff. DiVincenzo, all these plays just seem like fine. I actually think the DiVincenzo play might be better, and I'm just curious where Sheets in them. They have him about around 20 also. I think I'd like to get a little bit more of DiVincenzo than this number. I'm just going to press 11 for now, so when I rerun, it'll make sure I have some. And everybody else looks solid. I think that this is the one though the other one I would end up overweight on might be Julius Randle. Always plays well against the Lakers. Little revenge stuff going on. It's also a pretty decent matchup for him. So they don't really have like a normal guy to guard him. And I know he hasn't been great for Minnesota, but I still think there's enough upside to go there. Yeah, Brennan's asking about Niang being viable. I think Niang is going to be viable, but my guess, just as to who they start, I'm just looking at I'm just going to guess it goes Dean Wade. That seems the most likely thing to me, but I still think Niang is viable. It's a tough roster because it's not like he's out there to play defense and occasionally hit some threes, so he's not going to create much. But he also should get some of the garbage time run. So I don't mind the Niang thing, but we'll see when the projections rerun where we're at. I like Claxton. I want to be overweight this play no matter what tonight. I'm happy to be getting more than almost double it. I'm not as interested in the Cam Johnson as the field is. If I end up there, I wouldn't mind it. I'm certainly not going out of my way to try to get any of it. A couple plays in this side that I am trying to get exposure to. I'd like to be well over on Ja Morant. I think this is actually a little bit higher ownership than he's going to end up with. So I like getting over on Ja Morant in this matchup. Brooklyn struggles in transition. Seems like a really good spot for Ja. We haven't seen the big game out of Bane, but he's at a price I really like. And I think it's just probably a good idea in this matchup to get sort of overweight all of the studs for Memphis, but especially Ja. Ja's the one I'm going to end up with the most of for sure. And then we can't even analyze this Bulls game. Look at all these questions. Vucevic, Giddey, and Patrick Williams. Any of these guys miss, and it's a different game. Where do we have Lonzo for minutes right now? We got him at 18. I think that's probably about right. Is there a little upside on that? Maybe. I think there is. Because he was a contrarian value I was thinking about earlier today. Can we maybe get the 22 minutes out of him? I think in that case you could definitely play him at 4,100, but I'm not sure we can count on it. Let's see what happens. Again, this is another one of the reasons why you want to wait for the news as much as you can and only use the good value from the early games, just because there's probably going to be some other news that we don't know yet, and it's probably going to come from the Bulls. Also, I forgot to mention that Miles Bridges, obviously I'm getting a ton of exposure to him right now. If he's out again, then Brandon Miller, which I already have a ton of, I'll feel a lot better about that Brandon Miller. The Sims really liked him today. I love Brandon Miller. I love him in the spot. I love the usage. What worries me is that 9K is a high price tag and it's pretty scoring reliant. So you're going to need him to have one of those 30 plus real life point games, but this is the matchup to do it. So I'm not hating any of these ownerships. The Misic thing, we saw it not work that one night where KJ Simpson got there. If you wanted to get creative, maybe throw a KJ Simpson lineup or two in there. But I don't think you want to go overboard with that. Clippers, I manually lowered, as you can see, the projections on both Jordan Miller and Batum. It feels too aggressive the way SaberSim has been projected to me. So I wanted just to get a little bit lower so I wouldn't end up with quite as much of them. The thing I do like about it is it's a later game, give you some swappability. But Norman Powell being my favorite play in this game, and I'm going to make sure, I'm just going to put a 10 in here to make sure that I know I'm getting a decent amount of them. I know I'm going to anyway, so it's fine. But that's really those three are the main Clippers you're getting, and I just don't feel great about this Jordan Miller Batum. My guess is when we get the Cleveland update, and if we get anybody out for the Bulls, we're going to probably be, not as high on these guys. Jokic, depending on how much value, is a great play. I think it's just, it's just hard to argue against it no matter what. Even if Murray's in, I tried to get some Westbrook and they won't let me. I'm going to keep going just a few percent. Just want to get a lineup or two just in case we have the no Jamal Murray. I think it's worth speculating on. And I don't mind gambling a little bit just in case. And it's not like he can't, there's no way he can get there, but at this price, you obviously wouldn't be playing him otherwise. But I'm open to the little bit of a gamble with that one. So that's sort of my overall look on DraftKings. On FanDuel, and then again, I'm going to rerun the Cavs stuff and all that. Let's refresh and see if FanDuel's updated the Cavs stuff yet. And see if it looks right to us. Garland, great price over on FanDuel. Didn't really get too much on DK, but that's an awesome price for him on FanDuel. Jared Allen is obviously a very strong play, especially with no Mobley, but that number should probably be a little bit higher than it is. And then you get into the others, the Niang, Okoro. I think we're still waiting for the update. That's my guess, because it does not seem like it's updated yet. And that's just where I'm at. Okoro officially in, by the way, too, as well. So that's a little knockdown. We'll just talk about the games that I didn't talk about, and then I'll talk about some other specific plays. This is way too cheap for Nurkic. Unless we hear like he's going to play like 20 minutes, this is just way too cheap. This is like a nearly every lineup for me on FanDuel situation. I don't even understand why the ownership is that low. It's honestly confusing to me, and I just think it's a very, very like obvious. You just take the 4,800 play and run with it. He hasn't played in a while, but I still think he'll play up to 28 minutes. And on top of that, it's a great matchup. So I do love the Nurkic over there. What else do we have? Oh, I'm still on Cleveland. Still have Cleveland checked. Nothing else that really stands out, especially from Phoenix. Again, if I ended up with some of these pieces, it's not going to bother me, but I'm not trying to get to them. I got nothing from Utah anywhere, and any slate, just not playing anything of it. If there was any play I would play, it would probably be Keontae George or Sexton. Maybe you could argue for John Collins, but just not going to be for me tonight. Chris Paul, this is too high for me. I'm going to put it. I just keep trying to cap it. I don't want to play 100% Chris Paul. I like Garland better. Basically the same price, 67, 65. I like that play better. And I would like to be overweight. I actually like the Sohan to get contrarian, but I'd like to be at least a little bit higher on Wembanyama, where he's got power forward eligibility. He and Anthony Davis are the two that have power forward eligibility on FanDuel that they don't on. Well, he's not on DraftKings, Wembanyama, but I think that power forward eligibility makes all the difference. We're obviously going to get a lot of Davis no matter what, but I wanted to manually edit that really quick. All right, San Antonio. I mentioned already with Paul and Wembanyama, but I'm trying to get less on Paul. And then I don't even like, again, these are just plays that ended up in my lineups. I don't have a strong take on it. I'm going to rerun my late swaps. And my guess is I end up with nothing from Portland unless we get DeAndre Ayton or Donovan Clingan or Robert Williams or all three out. Then you got a whole wild thing going on. So yeah, like I said, it's a slate where we're waiting for a lot. So I'm rebuilding with that. I'm going to go back to DraftKings. We're going to check on and refresh and make sure we've got the right Cleveland numbers. It looks like they did change the total a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. Got it. Yeah, about a 1.5 point change. And yeah, Jared Allen looking extremely strong now on DraftKings, and something worth rerunning here. I do like the Jared Allen. I like the Karis LeVert quite a bit. Make sure I have at least, I'll be over the field on him by the time it's done. Well, depending on where the field ends up, I guess. Dean Wade, the other one that I think I want to, he's 3,800. It's hard not to have some interest there. I think I would gamble with why is it not bringing up? Oh, there's Niang. I would like to definitely be overweight Niang too, or not overweight, but at least 25% Niang. So with these things updated, I'm going to rebuild and see where we're at, and then I'm going to run the sims, and we'll go from there. Ty Jerome is completely, look, it works for the blowout. He's productive enough. If you get the blowout run, I'm good with Ty Jerome. I'm not trying to, again, it's not a play that I'm desperate to try and do early, like that I think is like an awesome, you got to play this guy. He had 28 fantasy points last game. He played 21 minutes. You're counting on an elite level of efficiency for that to happen again, or usage. And he had, I believe, his second highest usage game of the year last time out. I think it's possible, but it's not something I'm going out of my way trying to get to. Good to see you, MJ. And yeah, let's just rerun this and see where we're at, because it is one of those slates where if you're not going to be able to late swap, you're pretty much in trouble. Oh, we did get Patrick Williams said he'll play. That's him, not the team. But Patrick Williams has said he's going to play tonight. So that, at least that's one piece of Bulls news that we don't have to wait on. So if we get all the other stuff, then I'm fine with maybe taking more shots on guys like Ty Jerome. Just as of right now, I would rather delay and wait for other potential value that might be opening up and keep as many spots open while we don't know, and not sort of shoot my wad on the first slate. You see, now it's coming up all Cleveland, pretty much all over the place. You can see my exposure is well over the field on everything in Cleveland. I think some of those flagship ownership will come up a little bit, but this is where I'm at right now. I don't mind the Ty Jerome thing. I just don't think it's like, I'm not going to go out of my way to try to get a ton of them. Maybe I end up with around 5% by the time we run everything. This is actually before I ran the sims. So let me run the sims and see what it says. But this is before the sims. This is what I'm getting. And I think I did put a cap on. No, I didn't put a cap on Misic. I did bring Misic's projection down a tiny bit, just 0.7. It's not a huge drop down, but I thought I didn't want to be getting 100% of them, and I am okay with getting 70% of them, 75% of them. I just don't want to have 100. So with the Sims, they love the Champagny. And why is this Champagny so projected so awful? They have him at 20s, 4,500. Sheets has him at 18. Goldie had him at 20. I like the play better than the field. I don't understand why people don't like him as much. I mean, just I hate to say this, but look at the game log. Like, he's played 29 minutes or more 3 straight games. He's put up 36 in there, at 44. I like it. It's a good way to get different, and I just don't buy that he's not going to have any ownership. So that is one piece from the value that I didn't mention the last time around, but I like that way of getting different. And I did like that it dropped down my Valanciunas exposure. It dropped down my Jared. Like, Valanciunas is not going to play the blowout run, but Champagny will likely play a lot of it. I think Bagley will likely play a good amount of it. Yeah, so I'm kind of happy with where that's sitting. And let's see where we ended up with Cleveland-wise. Yeah, you can see a lot of LeVert, Jared Allen, Yang, Garland, Mitchell, Wade. 5% Ty Jerome. There it is. That's what I said what was going to get to. I think you could make an argument for gambling going a little bit higher, but I think I'd rather I like the Champagny play a little bit better on the other side than I do the Ty Jerome play. But look, we've seen Ty Jerome have big games. I wouldn't hate it. It's just, again, I'm not going to try and force it in. All right, so that's sort of where we're at. This is the overall exposure after running the Sims. And I'm just playing I'm playing 75 in the lottery and then one in the single entry, the $100 single entry tonight. And I'm just playing 20 on FanDuel, so I don't mind just taking some whatever big risks on FanDuel. And let's just see. I think I'm going to end up with all the Nurkic. I wonder if the Sim. I just think his ownership is way too low on him. I don't really care what he does tonight. Nothing's going to change my mind whether or not this is the right play. I think you could make a case for, if there wasn't so many good center options, like almost locking him in. It's just then where else do you spend? But I think you could play Wemby and Anthony Davis at power forward. That's something you could do. I like that idea a little bit. Still not getting quite as much Nurkic as I want. I want at least, I put 40 in there, but I'm probably going to want even more. Now, you could argue, just coming back from the injury, does he have the ceiling? What if he only puts up like 25? Yeah, then that's not great, but it's still not a killer, especially if his ownership is anywhere near accurate at 17%. I think you do really want to be over that number. I just think it's the right thing to do. And they've dropped it down to 50. I'm going to put a minimum of 50 so I don't end up with any less than that. Because, again, just playing 20 lineups, it's not really going to change anything there. But let's see what we ended up on FanDuel with Cleveland. Probably not. Okay. Garland's got the cheap price tag. You've got Jared Allen with power forward eligibility. He's another one to use. The only thing is I really want to force in more of this Davis. And I like that build, the Davis and Wemby. So that's the bold take I'm going to have. It's not even that bold. It's just I like the Nurkic, Wemby, Wemby, and Davis combination. So look, I'm getting right where I wanted to be anyway. So I was sort of going to put 30 in there. That feels good to me. I'm pretty happy with that. So that's essentially where I'm at for those things. I did post my bets for the day on the site. I will post my updated exposures when they're done. We're still, obviously, again, I feel like there's still news to come. I know that it's a little annoying. You'd like to have somebody say, well, if this happens, I can tell you right now, it's really hard to do that with the Bulls. Because if Vooch is out, it's a totally different team, basically. If Giddey's out, then we love Levine and White. So I really don't know what to do until we know about those two guys, especially. I don't even think you need to go out of your way to overstack them because you're on DraftKings. I'm not getting that. Like, look, I've got Embiid 25%. Okay, it's a spend up. That's not really going to affect anything for the later games that much. I'm barely getting to anything from Indiana. We know that we've got potential value with Cleveland. I think that Yang being the favorite of the cheapos. Oh, sorry, LeVert being the favorite of the cheapos, followed by Yang and Dean Wade for me personally. I wouldn't even mind getting a little bit higher than this number on Dean Wade, to be honest with you. And in the same boat as Ty Jerome is Sam Merrill, but again, exposure to a lot of different guys. I don't love the Donovan Mitchell play. I'm probably going to consider Xing this one out. It's just such a good matchup. He could accidentally get there. But I actually like the idea of getting a little, let's just cap it at 10. I just don't feel like this is the right spot to try to spend up for Mitchell when I can play a cheaper Ja Morant in what should be a closer game at much lower ownership. I think that's probably the way I'd rather go. And the Champagny, you can see the reason I'm getting so much of it is because this ownership projection is just non-existent. I think there's something wrong with the ownership projection, to be honest with you. I don't buy that he's not going to be owned. I expect him to have like 10% ownership. I just think it's a mistake. So that's where I'm at. Levine and Giddey in. Brendan has got some sort of, Vooch is out. Okay, so we're going to have to rerun the Bulls in just a minute. We're probably going to need a few minutes for that one to rerun. Brendan, I got to give it to you, man. You get alerts. I don't know what alert thing you're using or if you're just on Twitter at the same time, but like you're getting them before all of us are getting them. That's awesome. That's great that we have that news too. So what is likely going to happen with the Vooch being out? Okay, let me just go to the Bulls for a second and we'll take a quick look. So with Vooch out, I honestly wonder who they're going to start. I wonder what that starting lineup is going to look like. I think Buzelis is probably going to end up being in play. Jalen Smith. I'm sorry, what am I talking about? Jalen Smith is going to be the obvious. So we're going to have Jalen Smith at probably going to be like 40%. I'm going to guess that he's going to be 1,000,000% owned. And that's chalk I will eat. Assuming that Jalen Smith does in fact start. In fact, even if Jalen Smith doesn't start, I still have no problem with being way over the field that play. So we're gonna wait till it updates. But my guess is that Jalen Smith will become by far the best projected play on the slate. Nothing bold about that take. Patrick Williams with the injury management, we'd like a guy who's a little bit more active offensively there. Dosunmu, where do we have Dosunmu right now? He's a little expensive, but yeah, probably not going to get there. But I think it's going to end up just being Jalen Smith is the main thing, and then a boost to every one of these other guys. So I'm just going to keep this in so I remember. We'll put 0 on Vooch, and we'll put the projections at 0. Let's just do that. It'll do it for me in a minute, but I'm just sort of trying to think ahead here because I'm probably going to get out of here in like the next 10 to 15 minutes. I think Jalen Smith is going to be really, really hard to fade, assuming that he does start. And they have other routes. They could start other things, like they could go small and start Williams and play the guards. I don't know what they're going to do, but no matter what, I'm going to be playing Jalen Smith. There are more bodies though. You do have Lonzo still there, and then Buzelis will get some extra run. So it's not like there's nothing. And I just think it's a bump to each of these guys, but probably the one to like the most, and it's a little bit pricing, was the reason why, but I think Levine and Kobe White are both terrific plays. So I'm actually going to go a little bit higher on these. Let's just go 8-8. Nothing crazy, but I would like to make sure that I have a little of all it. I don't even mind the Lonzo thing that much. One of these days he's going to play like 24 minutes and have 35 fantasy points, and we'll be like, oh, we could have had him at no ownership. But I don't think I'm going to force it in quite yet. I do think that Josh Giddey is. I would go White, Levine, Giddey. That's the way I would rank them. But again, it's going to give me White anyway because he's going to project really well. So we'll rerun them. I'm going to do this so I make sure not to have my players who are out in my lineups. Okay. I'm just going to go over to FanDuel real quick and make sure he's not in any of those. No, Vooch wasn't in any of mine anyway over there. All right. So, and maybe an argument for that game to stay a little bit closer. I want to take a look at the Charlotte side again. We do obviously like the Bridges, but we don't know if he's going to play. And obviously that changes things. Then you just want the Brandon Miller and the Micic. But I think you'd include large field. And To do this because it's a lottery thing. I'm just going to put like one KJ Simpson lineup in there, basically. This Micic thing, though, is getting. I want to make sure I'm at least at 30% by the time I rerun everything. I still think it's right to be, I think he's getting 30 most of the time here. He gets 30 basically every game, except for the one day he was like 95% owned. Guys, I'm going to ask you guys real quick, if you don't mind giving us a like while you're in there. We really appreciate it. We love doing these videos for free. There's a lot of talk about us doing, and we will be doing some more content only for just our subscribers. But we want to keep doing these videos for free. In order to do that, we need to get these likes up. So we'd appreciate it if you guys would do that for us. Thank you very much. Just one little click, it's all it takes. And like I said, much appreciated. I hate asking for it. I hate those things. But that's just the way it is. Also, we have some awesome package deals. I mean, look, you can get us, SaberSim through us for almost the exact same price. And it's just the only difference is you get all Sheets' projections, all of Goldie's projections, all of my content, Brandon Cruz for NASCAR and for all the showdown stuff, which he's been awesome at. And we also have Roadie's content as well. So, and we're adding more members to the team very, very shortly, and we're really excited about it. So come and join us. It's a good time for it. Yeah, obviously we're in the middle of like hyper sports season, which is also going to be vacation season for me pretty soon, because I'm going to be going on a little trip for about 10 days at the end of the year. And at the same time, though, you have all these other guys filling in, and they do a great job. And Sheets and Goldie's projections are just phenomenal. And it's a great way to get different while you're still using the SaberSim builder, which is terrific. So I would encourage everybody to check out our packages right now. All right, enough with the salesy stuff. Let's see if we've updated anything with the Bulls. And okay, it looks like it's starting now. That's pretty much where we had them before. Okay, hasn't updated yet. So that's going to be the big one that updates. It's going to look like Jalen Smith no matter what. I think that you'll get a little bit more on Patrick Williams, a little bit more on Buzelis, and I think that's probably going to be the main ones. But and then obviously the boost to White, Giddey, and Levine. But like I said, I've got it White, then Levine, then Giddey, which is sort of what I've got in my ownerships right now. I was kind of hoping 2 of them would be out, so we'd have a whole bunch of speculation to go through, but we don't, unfortunately. And we do have Lonzo, eating up those 20 minutes off the bench and with a capped ceiling because of that. So it's kind of a tricky one to go with. Kind of weird to me that in these spots that they don't just start Lonzo. Like, why not just start him? I don't understand it exactly. If you're going to protect him for his future, why don't you protect him and for the team and like just have him start and get him used to the guys he's going to be playing with going forward? I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But yeah, I'm still looking at the Bulls with probably a 10-man rotation. I don't really want to play the very end of the bench personally. All right. So any other questions or thoughts, you guys? Because I am probably going to get on out of here pretty soon. As you can see let's see if they updated it. Sometimes one site will update before the other, and it's just kind of a little weird, but let's take a quick look. I don't think so. And again, over here, I want to make sure I have. So it's going to be Jalen Smith, and now I don't necessarily need quite as much of the other play that I like so much because I do think there's a good chance Jalen Smith would outscore Nurkic if he does start, if Jalen Smith does start. Again, I can always adjust as the time goes on, but as long as I have one of those guys in there, I can always switch things out because I'm going to have a lot of players in the later games, especially on FanDuel. So we'll just keep refreshing, checking it out. Let's hit that 100. Get one more viewer in here so we can get 100 guys in here at the same time. That'd be nice. Let's see. Oh, there we go. It's starting to update. There we go. They got him at 25 on FanDuel. And I think on DraftKings, you're going to see a more exaggerated number. So let's see what we've got for the Bulls. I know Sheets is really good by being on air up till the last minute because he can edit. He's always using a script. I hand edit a ton of my stuff. So especially if I've got a higher buy-in, I'm always going to end up hand editing that one. So I can't go up till the last minute with you guys as some of the, yeah, you can see this projection is just absurd. We want to get some Buzelis as well. I like this Buzelis kid, by the way. And beware of the starting lineup. It's not a guarantee that they just make Jalen Smith the starting center. It's probable, but it's not a guarantee, especially against a team in Charlotte where, yeah, it's Nick Richards. They're not worried about Nick Richards posting him up and beating up a big man down low. Now you worry about rebounding, but Buzelis is not bad at that either. A value play for FanDuel, S. David. We got, all right, so, and again, please hit the like button. We should have a lot more likes than we do in this one. Let's see. So the value play is Jalen Smith and Nurkic. I think by pretty massive ways, those are my favorite value pieces. And we have Patrick Williams cheaper over there, right? Yeah, he's 3,800. Patrick Williams is another one that I think that you could throw into the mix as a value piece. You can see I'm getting 25% of them. That's totally right where I want to, right about where I want to be. I don't mind being a little bit higher, but just making sure that I end up with him no matter what happens. But yeah, I think you're talking about more Bulls, and on FanDuel especially, I think it's a better case. I let the Garland price is great, so I don't mind that mid-tier spend. The Jared Allen price is nice, and I don't think you need to do it though. I actually don't mind. I was even considering maybe just taking a stand and saying, you know what, I'll just X out Allen, but he's got the power forward eligibility, which I like the power forwards with Davis and Wemby, but Jared Allen is probably my next favorite one. So it's a little tricky. And I just don't need the Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to X him out on FanDuel. That's just what I'm doing. I'd rather wait. I think there's going to be news, and I still believe that there's a chance. We don't know about Jamal Murray. We don't know about what was the other big one that I was talking about earlier. Why am I forgetting this? We had Jamal Murray as a questionable. Is it not in the later games that I'm thinking of? Oh, Miles Bridges. Obviously, Miles Bridges is a huge piece because we're already getting. Look at the Brandon Miller. I've already got 100% of them. Can't get more than 100 last time I checked, so it's going to be weird. But we have over 100 people in here, which is awesome. We appreciate you guys. We're going to run one more build and see where we're at, and then I am probably going to get out of here and finish my lineups. I will update everyone in our Discord as to what I'm doing tonight. Sheets will be back. We'll be back live at 11 a.m. on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern for football. Pretty pumped about it. Keep having like solid slates, but not quite getting there. Had a couple runs at the Millionaire, actually like 3 out of the last 4 weeks. And hopefully this is the week where we actually get it done. I would love to win that million. I haven't won that million in football yet, and I would love to do it. All right. So did it rebuild? No, let's rebuild. All right, so let's see where we're looking at and what I'm getting over and under on. And like I said, I changed some of the players' projections myself. I just didn't happen to do it from the games where there was injury news so far, outside of the fact that I lowered Mishish's just because we know that there's always like a bad game for him, and you could see the Samson thing, excuse me. All right, we're gonna do this. It's gonna yell at me, and then I'm gonna run the sim, and then we're gonna be on our merry way. Let's see. And I just want to re-encourage everybody. One of the great things that we have, here with SaberSim and, TrueDFS SaberSim is the late swap tool. And it's really important to use. Lonzo officially in. We kind of knew that. Kyle Lowry is now listed as questionable. What is that? I don't think that's going to make any bit of a difference. Is it? I can't see why it would. No, it's not going to make a difference to me. Starting lineups are in. Champagne is starting, which honestly for Washington, which honestly makes me like him a little bit less. Now he's going to pop a little bit more. I'm still going to play him. Don't get me wrong, but that Champagne thing him starting is probably going to up his projection a little bit. And I'm a little annoyed because I was looking forward to the idea of getting him at low ownership. Yeah, you can see the Jalen Smith ownership right now. It's at 76. I've got him at 90. I don't know what to tell you. There's really no way I'm not doing that as of right now, but I will be late swapping. I will be taking advantage of that. Oh, this is before we run the sim, isn't it? Let's run the sim and just see where we ended up on this. It feels a little aggressive on Brandon Miller at 9K. FanDuel at 81, no problem, but 9K does feel a little bit aggressive. It's a great matchup, obviously. And SaberSim especially thinks it's going to be closer than the actual spread. One thing that I've tested a little bit, guys, is I've messed around with some of the SaberSim projections just on the game totals, and it is incredible how good it's actually been. It's running close enough to 60% for me when I tested it. Now I haven't done it for every single game, so I want to beware, but it's pretty awesome. I really encourage everybody who doesn't to subscribe to us. Anyway. All right. I think with that said, this is where my ownerships currently stand. Like you can see, my biggest differentiator is D'Angelo Russell. I still like that play. I don't mind that he's coming off the bench. We know there's a ceiling there. We know they're going to need scoring without LeBron, revenge, etc. Let's go. And what else do we have here? Who else am I big on? Jordan Miller. Again, I don't love it, but it's a later game, so I'll be able to late swap. And I even lowered Jordan Miller's projection earlier. Oh, wait, did it raise his projection? Wait a minute. I thought I lowered Jordan Miller's projection. Yeah, let's go back. Let's reset this one. Okay, now let's apply that. That's a weird one. I lowered him because they had him at 23, and that was too high, but I didn't lower it enough, apparently. So we're going to rebuild one more time. All right. So great to have so many of you guys in here. We're going to make these shows more fun. Like I said, we're going to be adding some people in the coming weeks, as well as the new year. We think we've got an incredible product here. Everything we have through SaberSim is phenomenal, and we're kind of giving away a lot of the stuff for free by talking about it here. But I would encourage you guys to get on board, because especially for NBA, if you're playing for real, you really should be late swapping, maximizing everything. SaberSim will take into account everything that's happened already. This is a good late swap slate. You've got the hour break, then you've got another hour break between the last game. On FanDuel, it's even better because you've got all the other late games. There's just going to be all kinds of action happening, and SaberSim is really good at accounting for it. So I would encourage you guys to check it out. All right, where are we going to end up at? I think we're going to get some wild ones in here. It's my guess. Not on the first run, but on the second one. So let's run the sim after we do this and see where we're at. Yeah, that makes sense. What else? Yeah, the Russell one is the one. The Russell and Morant. Other sites have Morant projected a lot lower than 15%. I hope that's the case because I do love the Morant play today, and we're not going to get him at 8,700 for too long. He's not going to play under 30 minutes in every game. Now, this might be one where he does, but in general, I think it's just good to be ahead on plays like that before the field starts doing it. All right, so let's see what we got after the Sims. Yeah, it's pretty much what you'd expect. And again, the Bridges thing might not even exist, which is going to open up a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's see what we have in the early games, which is the part I'm most concerned about. Donovan Mitchell, 9%. Ty Jerome, they bumped it up. I don't mind the 8% of it. It's not bothering me. I don't mind that. I like being underweight Jared Allen a little bit over here at a center only. Even though it's a great price, there's just other center options, especially with Jalen Smith in there. LeVert, I don't mind any of these. The Dean Wade, I don't think I need to have that much. I may lower that one a little bit. And then I'm curious where it ended up with the Champagny. So this, I'm not buying any of this for Champagny. I expect his projection to rise. I'm going to make sure I have 15% of them. And that's where I'm at. I actually might even go a little higher than that. I'm going to go 20. Anyway, guys, appreciate you all very much. Good luck to everyone tonight. We'll see you guys in the Discord. And